I made my own MMORPG. It's $40 base price with a $10 subscription. There's thousands of players at this point, and it's been heralded as a beautiful but deadly game, especially when you encounter the bears. And all the accusations of me manipulating the reviews are completely, they're nuts, right? I mean, it's totally not like this is how I deal with frustrated players in the game. Why are you frustrated? Why? Why are you frustrated? I don't understand. You know what? Get out of my game. There's only one problem with my MMO, Eternity of Eternity 2. You see, it's not that we can't talk about the Eternity of Eternity 1. That's the lawsuit's still clearing. It's the fact that Eternity of Eternity 2 doesn't actually exist because I made it in MMORPG Tycoon 2. MMO Tycoon 2 is a charming sim where you can make your MMO a PvP wasteland, a social hub, or a monetization nightmare, also known as a Blizzard game. MMO Tycoon 2 is in early access, currently under development by Vector Storm out of Australia. After seeing Mitch play his own masterpiece, Flailing Ball Bag online, I knew I had to give this game a try. I wasn't certain I'd enjoy it, given that I hadn't played a sim like this in, well, probably since I was seeing how many loop-de-loops I could put stuff in one roller coaster before Windows 95 crashed. Yes, I am that old. But logging into the game, I was greeted with perhaps one of the most well-crafted tutorials I've done in a while. It flows seamlessly and doesn't overwhelm you. The overwhelming comes later though, don't worry. Because my god, this game is deep. Much deeper than it looks on the surface. Getting into the game, I set up my network. There's the start of your depth of the game. You actually have a network with like cables and shit for this game. I figure out where to place my spawn points, place down some NPCs from the ones I can utilize right now, and add in some quest NPCs for good measure. We've got something functional now, so it's time to let people in. Even though we have maybe one area to kill things, half a class created, and like 2 points of interest, what's the worst that could happen? Oh, it had to get rid of the trees. No, I like the trees. Uh-oh. Okay, wait. Are we gonna get our first players? Vector Storm presents with development. Oh my gosh. This is so cool. This is so cool. Oh, it's our first player. Wait, we have our first players. We open up the queues to players to start to stream in, and they stream in by the 2s and 3s, but they are here. The players have arrived in Eternity of Eternity 2, and all that's left is for me to get started on building out more content for them. That and, you know, somehow deal with this daunting net worth that I have. Yet after settling into the game, one of the things I realized was it didn't feel intense. And I actually mean that in a very good way. I didn't feel like I was being pushed to make money by shoving microtransactions down people's throats. It felt like my MMO was just growing. And it was growing at a rate that made sense. Players were leveling, but they were doing so slow enough that I found it very easy to add in new areas new high level ranges and more. And even if I wasn't, well, I could have paused the game. I could have slowed it down a little bit. I can also speed it up if I want to, which I often did. I was able to take so much time that I even got to hang out with the players a little bit, and that's kind of when I realized nobody. So yeah, because who's gonna believe that the creator of the MMO just randomly killed you because you were frustrated at the game? No one's gonna believe that. Hey, Ing's back over here. Ing, are you still feeling? Are you over here, Ing? Oh! I just wanted to know if Ing was still... I just wanted to know if Ing was still ashamed. Let's be benevolent for a little while. They had been struggling a little bit with leveling, that the density of all the spiders I had created for them to level on was a bit intense. Now, this may have partially been because I chose the PvP MMO, which starts with the ability to duel, but not the ability to group. So players aren't allowed to be in parties, making it a bit more intense to start out with. So I figured what I would do is build a new zone for them to take advantage of, a new area with just a couple of bears, level 1 bears, just a small little area that they could take on solo. Basically like a newbie zone. See, there you go. We have our first newbie going into the newbie zone. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, that was the safe area. That was the newbie area. Okay. We here at Eternity of Eternity 2 would like to apologize for the massacre of the bears on day 2. Our devs are working very hard on getting in a fix that will make sure that and we'll do a rollback to bring back some of the experience that was lost. I was apologize. We are a new company, and we're trying our best to make sure that that this will never happen again. Again, I apologize to all players that were affected. We will be reaching out individually to make sure that your experience is returned to you. And don't worry, we will also make sure that going live in the next patch, we will have all the nerfs for the scout class that you have asked about repeatedly over and over and over again to all of our private email addresses. Anyway, so yes, we will be nerfing the scout as you requested. That's right. This game has a shocking amount of depth, from mob density to their actual skills, to elite mobs with loot, to class balancing around resources, and even creating your own abilities for all of those things. It can get downright overwhelming with just how much there is to do, and that's just the start of it. On their website, MMORPG Tycoon 2 lists some of the features they still want to implement during this early access phase. The most recent was a huge expansion of the game, the dungeon system. Building dungeons was a joy. There's a lot that you can fine-tune, even with the currently limited sets you have access to. The way it worked kind of reminded me in some ways of Dungeons 4. Another very good sim, though decidedly more strategic. But the idea here is that you can create these dungeons complete with bosses, which is just freaking awesome. You can even give them their own special abilities. Like, for example, in this dungeon, I had several versions of the same boss, but they would grow in level and they would be hidden behind a boss door that you had to go kill the last one of these several ones to get the final boss key. Different phases in a way. Speaking of, you can actually give them a second phase. And this is just part of what they want to add. Here's what they want to add to the rest of the game per their website. They want to add a tech tree that will require hiring devs and allocating them to get the tech tree items you want. They want to add in-game events, which this is something I'm super excited about because you get to play them as the creator of the MMO. What's more fun than creating and running your own events, like, attacking a town with a dragon? But a dragon that has really cool loot though, if they can kill it. Steam Workshop integration, which I think is going to be huge for community building and for making some really cool stuff to share. Being able to share your creations like the modular buildings or classes or monsters will be fantastic. World raid bosses, they'll have raids in the game. This is just so freaking cool. Adding huge epic bosses, giant dragons that can plop down into the world is going to be so freaking cool. Watching to see if the players can tackle them or making them super overpowered so they can dine on the crunchy bodies of your Twitch chat. Because yes, the next thing they want to do is they want to add Twitch integration so that your chats can join you in the MMO. Basically, like kind of like the way I imagine that like Cult of the Lamb works, which is a cool thing because while you can currently take and like make players like in the game, you can manually add in Twitch chat. Having the ability for them to do it themselves adds a little bit of engagement, and it's a really cool and fun thing to do. They also plan on adding factions and world PvP, as well as a codex to help you make a successful MMO. And they plan to continue after launch too with more content. All in all, the game is looking like so much more than I thought it would be. It's ridiculously addicting, surprisingly deep, and can create wonderfully funny and entertaining moments. I'm really looking forward to all the additional things they'll be adding in early access, but it's already fun as is. But before we wrap this up, I wanted to add in something that I would hope that's not listed on the things that they're planning on making, but something that I would really like them to consider adding to MMORPG Tycoon 2. And that's adding in different playable races, making some variability, because as it stands right now, you have a whole lot of the same thing, or at least adding the ability to have different models that can go into the same class or the same NPC. For example, everyone that is a paladin class looks like the paladin class, exactly the same way. There is no variability at all. Being able to add like a randomization so that people can, so that these NPC AIs can pick from like 5, 6, 7 different variations of the same class would add a whole lot of interestingness in the game. Same goes for NPCs, because when you create an NPC area, you mostly, unless you're adding in elite creatures, have to do one mob type. They all look exactly the same. So having the ability to have, like, say, like, okay, I have these skeletons. Well, I want 3 variations of said skeleton, and then they can all kind of intermingle in the same NPC zone. I think that would add a lot to it too. I also realized that this is adding a lot of complexity to the game, so that might be a big part of it. But I think doing stuff like this would really scratch that very specific itch of the Tycoon type game for an MMO player. If you enjoy these type of sim games, and if you enjoy MMOs, you're really going to enjoy this game and making your own kind of memes and fun, or maybe decorating and making a really incredible looking dungeon. But now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go back to making death trap zones for my newbie players. But perhaps you can make something a bit different. Perhaps you can go into the game and make an MMORPG like we will never see before, kind of like what's in this video over here. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. My name is Redbeard Flynn, and I really appreciate you. Take it easy.